Welcome back. Thanks for watching PopCon, everybody. This is our weekend pop conversation about all things pop culture that matter to us. I'm your Gen X host, Victor, always joined by my friend, the Millennial Thomas. Hey, buddy.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Glad you're here for another Friday. We're going to talk about some things that really matter to us that are pretty recent. I think we have a list of things, and I'm just going to make fun of you. You didn't see Kenobi last night, huh?
No, I watched Miss Marvel and then I fell asleep.
Right. Well, it is good. A lot of people out there say it's a filler, but I enjoyed it. I'm still waiting for him to get back to Tatooine, so I'll give you that. Hurry up. But I actually watched Miss Marvel too. Why don't we just start there? Because this is funny. We're getting Disney Plus doing some Marvel and some Star Wars at the same time, which is pretty cool. So I did squeeze in Miss Marvel. Unfortunately, before this recording, I've missed the last 10 minutes. So really, you might have to fill me in. So overall, you watched it pretty clearly all the way through. What are your thoughts?
It was cool. I went in with the expectations of not knowing. I knew a little bit about the character. She was like the main playable character in the Avengers video game.
Okay.
I knew she had a big fan base with the younger audience.
Do you know the history of Miss Marvel? Like, there's Captain Marvel, there's Miss Marvel, some teenager.
Yeah.
Is that a real, in the comics, is there both two separate characters? I know you're not a big comic reader, but do you know their character background that way?
Yeah. So she's pretty spot on to what the comic is. So in the comic, she writes like a blog. So like I guess they kind of spin in the show that she's doing a YouTube thing.
Yeah, makes sense. I like those upgrades.
She's pretty much like the real life MCU fan. Like she loves the characters, but she idolizes Captain Marvel.
Yeah, and you can tell.
Yeah, it's historically it's the first depiction of an Indian American character, but also like I believe all the artists involved in the comic, all Indian American, and then I think they got a lot of people on the production with the same background, which is kind of cool.
So you say Indian American. I read Muslim American, but I guess that could be the same because you can be Indian, your Muslim is your religion. So I got to be honest, let's start there. The family's pretty cool. The family unit makes me laugh. I think what I like about shows like this is when they try to be really sincere. It's almost like those shows like Fresh Off the Boat, or where they're like, look, the family unit of this culture is very unique and we want to celebrate that. So I got to say the mom and dad are kind of making me laugh. I do like that characterness driven. Her MCU love, they're doing something unique that I'm kind of like, I'm cautious of. I think it's because I'm not used to it, is that things that animate, things that the way they're putting extras in there. And I know that's for a modern audience who may need like rapid fire visual stimulation.
Yeah, and it's very similar to Scott Pilgrim vs. the World.
Yeah.
And I think she was watching it for like a split second, so they paid homage to it.
Okay, well that's good.
The animation that I thought was different when they were doing that side scroll, and you could see like all the building graffiti in the back.
Yeah.
When that graffiti was moving, that was something I don't think I've ever seen before on film.
Maybe not specifically. I agree with you. I never saw it before. But what I mean, they're doing some new stuff. Some of it may have been seen before, but they're still doing things. It's loaded. Even when she was talking to the counselor, there's a little comic screen. Like there's doing things that are just, they're barraging you with it too. So for me, my age, I guess I look and I'm like, I don't know. But I think what's turning me off is simply it's about teenagers. And I did describe it to myself as, I think this is a Disney Channel movie.
Yeah, and it is geared towards children. So
that's fine. I just wasn't sure what to go in thinking.
Yeah, and I pretty much of course I'll watch anything MCU, but for me, there's certain things that even if I don't love the actual film or show, I love what the implications are. So the implication of her existing in the MCU means the next Captain Marvel movie. And I'm hoping that next Captain Marvel movie leads to some X-Men.
That's true. And this character may show up. I get it. So I'm similar in the way of like, I really wish I could see all the Easter eggs. Are they going to reference things? They've already referenced, obviously, the Avengers and that kind of thing. But are they going to reference more? Am I going to see something I hadn't seen before? And it's going to exciting for the next time I see them out on the big screen. So I have a push-pull relationship. It feels a High School Musical for the MCO. Not really interested. I don't want to watch anymore, but I am, of course, don't want to miss anything that tells a story.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's the thing. If you are vested in what's going to happen next, you have to watch. The MC is very serialized now, which the super fans love, and I know the maybe the casual fan might not like that.
Well, I don't consider myself a super fan, and I don't consider myself a casual fan, because I think casual fan are people who go and say, "Oh yeah, this is a great movie." I like the tie-ins, so I have it's a very hard relationship, because I also love production, and I don't relate. I relate to Stranger Things because it's an era that I fall in love with. I don't even think the storyline of the new Stranger Things it's not as great, but it's okay. It was good, but I relate to it more because of the time period, because of the sensibility. So now I'm looking at something very now, and young people are really going to love it. They're going to love the social media implications. They're going to love conventions and being excited and being a geek and an outsider. That isn't what I'm used to. I'm used to John Hughes films. Give me 16 candles, that kind of thing for youth. So I get it. It's for someone else, so I don't relate, but I really want to enjoy it. So there's where I'm sort of torn.
One thing I'll say that's pretty cool is like a couple of her friends in high school like are into geek culture.
Yeah.
But normally in like an 80s movie or a 90s movie, 2000 movie, the main character, if they were a nerd, they were the only nerd.
That's true. That's true. If they had a nerd character that was part of the group, it was a fun-loving, maybe comic relief side character. But mostly in the 80s, the geek character was the complete and utter loser that was bullied. So let's be honest. I remember that. And yes, you didn't want to be a geek in the 80s. That's totally a shift change. And as an adult geek, I am very proud that she's got that guy friend, and hey, he's a geek, and it's really celebrated. Now, they show every single person in high school being so tropey with like, hey buddy, like they're all being bullied. And I'm like, that's a little too cliche for me nowadays because things have changed, but I think they're trying to drive that home. So it looks like it's well produced. It looks like a lot of people like it. And again, if you want to keep up with your MCU, you better watch it, right?
Yeah.
I'm
just surprised there was no gap between Obi-Wan and Miss Marvel. I thought we would have had a little breather room.
And there's still 2 more episodes of Kenobi, so this will be overlapping at the same time, which is nice. All right, well, let's move on. Are there any toys for this?
Yeah, the Miss Marvel Disney Plus show, it went on sale yesterday, the Marvel Legends.
Okay.
So pre-ordered that, coming in 2020.
Came in yesterday. Of course it did. Awesome, with the show.
But it says not shipping until 2023, but we'll see. I was tempted to buy the previous figure that they had that was comic related. That was like $11.99.
But now,
but I don't know if it will. But every time a character is like a peg warmer, and then a show comes out, that price jumps up. So I'm curious to see. It was selling for pretty cheap, but I wonder
that makes sense. I bet these comic related Miss Marvels are going to go up on the secondary market. Not surprised. By the way, speaking of that 2023, what is happening? Someday we're going to just have to talk about the toy industry because it's pissing me off where all these G.I. Joe classifieds are announced. They came out, they're announced this year, like a load of them. Let's say there's 6 to 8, and they all have a 2023 and they're all pre-order. I'm like, why can't we freaking get a thing that's just coming out now? Like the other classified came out last year. We're not getting more to 2023, but they're now. What happened to 2022?
Yeah, one day we'll have to just make our own episode about that because we can go on forever. And my cousin said it the right way. He said Mattel plays things a little closer. Like they're announcing stuff when they're ready to ship.
That would be He-Man Masters of the Universe. Definitely Mattel does that. So that's a really good point.
When you have companies like Super 7 or Hasbro, they're getting your pre-order money, but man, they're not shipping. Well, they don't even charge you for the pre-order, except Super 7 does.
They do.
I mean, you're waiting forever.
Because Big Bad Toy Store pre-order doesn't take my money, so I'm like, okay, but one day it's just going to pile up. Next year, I'll be $1 million will leave my account. Not that I have. We're going to skip around. I was going to go somewhere else, but that reminds me when we talk about Mattel. So Masters of the Universe Origins, what an amazing toy line right now, Masters of the Universe by Mattel. So they have the Masters of the Universe Origins, very similar to the original 80s toy. They have the Masters of the Universe Revelations, which are Masterverse. And Masterverse, the toy line in the box, it's a square, it looks like a little like a picnic box. That had originally characters from the Kevin Smith show, and now they've diversified, which is making me also very like Jello because they brought out the She-Ra and they brought out characters from Princess of Power in that line. And I want them to make them here. So, because I don't want to collect them both. And then finally, they've got that other CGI youth marketed He-Man show. So they got 3 lines at the same time. And I know they're desperate to collect all they can because I think they're going to lose their rights next year. But they are announcing and they are putting out very quickly. So I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, I mean, man, some of those Revelation toys almost got me, like Skelegog and Scareglow. my cousin showed me
Oh,
those.
Scareglow looks so good.
Like, those are some cool figures. If I collected them,
Yeah, when they started to expand it beyond the Netflix Revelation show, I was like, should I have gone for that? Now, but they're going all over the place. At least in my Origins, I'm getting every single original character and some ancillary ones, which is great. But so you were around, I know you weren't a Motu baby or anything, but you knew that Kevin Smith made that show last year, Revelations, it was called, hated by super fans. I'm going to consider that Master of the Universe has fans just like Star Wars.
Yeah.
A small base is evil, and they hate anything that isn't like the original. Now, I'm not that bad. I do like it to stay true, but I love a little good change. So he went through, they called it 2 seasons. What they do now, make a season, cut it in half. Did you watch any of it?
Oh yeah, I watched all of it.
You did. So what did you think of the animation?
Animation was top notch.
Cool.
I thought that the battle scenes were so good. It was made for adults. It wasn't cheesy like I remember most kind of 80s cartoons were a little.
They couldn't be, yeah.
It was they were of that time.
They let us fall in love with the characters, and now I can fall in love with them. But now they're more mature because I mean, some of my favorite characters got totally toasted. Fisto and Clamp were just destroyed, and I was like, that's pretty violent. So I do like when that happens. I do like live death. It gives it more stakes.
And as not a long-term He-Man fan or a He-Man collector, when I saw that they represented the play sets in the background, so like when you saw Eternia like in the background of one of the scenes, I was like, oh, I know that play set. That's like,
yeah.
And Kevin Smith, as much as people want to rag on him, like he did that to tug on those heartstrings. And even for not a super fan, I love that. I love seeing that.
Well, play sets are awesome, number one. And when Eternia play set, it's called Eternia, when it showed up in the back, I think in their Afterworld, I forgot what that was called. I was like, that toy line came out with that playset at the very end. It had a mini comic, but the show was gone. The show was closed. They weren't even putting action figures out. Very rare got out, and it's so expensive now on the aftermarket, but I've always wanted it. I do not have the space for it. But yeah, I loved seeing that. So anyway, yesterday he announced he's making a whole nother season. This was a pretty huge announcement. So we only have one picture here everybody can see. But do you see it? The Skeletor, the sword. Do you see the artwork?
Yeah, we knew it was coming, or we didn't.
Well, I think they hinted a lot to it that they would, but after all the backlash, it's amazing that they went forward. Now, I'm guessing a lot of work was already done. So what were they going to do? Throw it in the dustbin? No.
Yeah, I don't know.
But that crown. Do you know whose crown that is?
Is it Shira's?
It is not. It's actually King Randor, his Prince Adam's father. So what I'm guessing is, to me, it looks like the royalty is going to be gone. Or like, I think probably Randor will die. I'm going to just throw it out there now. King Randor is going to die. I think we're going to see King He-Man. I think that's what's going to happen, which is a long tradition of the comics as well as the show. So I think that probably will happen. But seeing Skeletor in it kind of makes me go, because I want Hordak in it, who is kind of being developed in the final episode, which would bring in She-Ra. So let's just hope.
Maybe the poster's misleading. Before we get off He-Man or Masters of the Universe, are you going to buy into that $1?
So is it part of Origins or is it part of Revelation?
I think it's part of Origins.
If it is, then yes, because even as a kid, I knew what Wondar was. And there's so much history and so much lore behind it. Spectre Creative does a great video about it, really trying to answer the question about the Wonder Bread He-Man, which was obviously a mail away to get action figures. And they just made an unnamed action figure with freaking brown hair and wearing Zodak's chest plate, which is very strange. But I think Wondar is pretty cool. So yes, I've seen a brief picture, but I truly did not catch on that it was a origin. So I probably will.
Turtles has something similar where there was a mail away. They did a black version of the Secret of the Ooze Shredder, but he came with like some Chef Boyardee.
Okay, that's funny.
So
Secret of the Ooze, that was the sequel live action movie, right?
Yeah.
I think I saw that too. I remember. It's so amazing. Like, again, when I stopped watching, I wasn't really paying attention, but I went to the movies to see the original Power Rangers movie, which I liked. I liked the original Power Rangers movie. That was good. I thought it was good. And then I really liked the original Turtles movie. So I thought it was well done. I thought the animatics were spectacular for that year. It was 92, 93. What was it, 92?
I mean, Jim Henson was part of that team, so
Oh, it was great. That was wonderful. So that was Miss Marvel. It was a little bit of He-Man Mastery of Revelations, but go back. I'm going to go back one because Miss Marvel, when I hear Miss Marvel, I start getting confused because already Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel is a confusing thing, but DC owns Shazam, previously Captain Marvel. So there also is a family of Shazam characters. And I think at the end, was it the end of that movie that we saw the family?
yeah.
So when I see Ms. Marvel, I'm like, I'm getting confused. All these same kind of characters on two different brands have family, but I really enjoyed Shazam. Did you like that movie?
I liked it. I honestly, it was probably one of the better DCEU movies.
Well, because it was funny and lighthearted, and there were jabs. Yeah. It was like it's like Captain America jabbing with Iron Man. So yeah, it had that. People like that kind of thing.
I think the DCEUs had some more misses than hits, and I thought Shazam was great. I'm not sure. I think the history of Shazam is he used to be called Captain Marvel.
Correct.
And he was owned by Marvel, and then DC sued because he was basically a knockoff of Superman, I think.
No, that is very close to the real story that he was exactly just Superman, so they got him. But I don't know if they got to keep the name because of Marvel. They didn't want to keep him named Marvel because of Marvel Comics, so they had to change his name. Let's talk Black Adam. So Black Adam's about to come out, and Black Adam to me is a villain to Shazam. Mm-hmm. But that isn't the way they're playing this, and they're also making it a prequel. So a lot of confusion here because Shazam 2, which has taken too freaking long to come out. I hate this, and don't blame it on the pandemic. I think everyone's just being lazy. They're just taking so long. And so we're waiting for Shazam to come out, but we're going to get Black Adam, which has to be a prequel so we don't interfere with the Shazam going on. So yes, I feel it's convoluted too.
Yeah. And it's like these movies about these random side characters, cool, but yeah. I wanted to see The Rock in an MCU.
Yeah, and I think he's good, but I thought it would I thought it would be that lighthearted Shazam. But let's have everybody watch the trailer here, and you guys decide. So this is what I see, Thomas. I see brooding. I see The Rock a little bit but most of I see it serious, and I don't see Shazam in here. What about you?
No Shazam. We do get a few. We get Hawkman, Hawkgirl.
Totally loving that the Hawk Lady and Man are in there, but Hawkgirl and Hawkman. But no, what I mean is, I don't feel it's Shazam-like. I don't feel it's the same tone.
So probably we won't see him until Shazam 3, which how long will that be? And then which might make the Shazam movie a little darker. But they did have to redo all the costumes for Shazam to make them look like Black Adam because they get the powers from the same power set.
Yes, so, of course. Yeah. As a matter of Shazam, Black Adam's name is in Shazam. The wizard says the wizard refers that he made the Black Adam first.
Yeah.
So they're in the same universe. They absolutely are. And the history of Black Adam is villain to Shazam turned anti-hero trying to clear his name. That's now the modern take on him. So I think they're going to go more modern. But there has to be some conflict between he and Shazam. It would have to be. But Shazam was so lighthearted. I'm guessing the sequel might have a tone shift. But are you saying that they changed the Shazam 2 costumes are going to be more like the new Black Adam?
They need to match Black Adam for when they finally do have a conflict. Like they need to look like they're coming from the same.
Sure. They looked similar. What was different? I mean,
I think just in the first movie, the suits weren't as textured. They looked a little more cartoonish. But when we see them in this next movie, they're going to match a little bit better with the Black Adam. Not exactly.
I was going to say, there's no way that Zachary Levi is going to match The Rock. He's not filling that out. That I remember watching Shazam and I loved it, but I was like, this costume shoulders he was wearing, and I was like, that's obviously not your shoulder bulk. It was so funny, the built-up muscle in there. I'm like, but I still loved it.
Yeah, but I love The Rock. He's kind of like a guilty pleasure. Like
he is, absolutely, and I agree. So now you showed some pictures. So we got some pictures of the new. Who are these guys from? These pictures of
these are McFarlane figures. So
okay.
Again, not a line that I collect, but those figures look really good.
He looks Dwayne, it's insane how realistic that is. But I think you were making a point that McFarlane isn't this consistent, right? Like there's a Batman figure that you wanted to show.
No. I mean, so McFarlane does some weird things. So they were doing when they do the Pattinson Batman figures, like they did a lot of the figures, but McFarlane doesn't like when the characters look straight. So he did a lot of figures where they're looking this way.
Oh, he doesn't really. So he doesn't like to make them looking straight on.
No, so he got a lot of like shit for that. So I think he's fixed it since then. But he said he's like, oh, they have that uncanny valley if they're looking straight. But they're like they look so if they're looking this way with their eyes, then you have only one way to pose them.
Yeah, I think I think what should have action figures should have eyes that look down and center. I don't think they should look at. I think they should look down a little bit.
No.
That's just my personal. I think that I get what you mean, but at the same time, if you have them looking one way, then you always have to pose them that way.
McFarlane always does this thing like, and those two pictures I sent you with the hooded and unhooded. I don't know if those are two packaged figures because most companies would sell you one figure, two heads. McFarlane will sell you one unhooded version that would be a Target exclusive. But then if you want the hooded version, it's a whole new figure. You got to get it at Walmart.
They're raping us. All right. So, yeah, I will say they both look good. I would prefer the hooded, but I'm sure that's not how he generally would be. So I'd probably the unhooded is probably more reminiscent of the true look. I got to say, I'd rather the Hawkman looked awesome. So Hawkman guys. So I was like,
I mean, Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate.
Oh, that was cool. I was like, yes, I love when they take some old actor, when I say old, a different generation coming up and being a role that fits for their age, and yet we're still giving them some love and respect. He was James Bond, for God's sake. So I was glad to see him in it.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Did McFarlane make a Catwoman out of the new The Batman?
Yeah, and she was kind of weird looking too.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
the one that was the best of that series was Colin Farrell's Penguin. He made a penguin that looked awesome.
Okay. Wait,
Yeah.
well, I'm not even going to ask this question because I'm going to be an idiot, so I'm not even going to go. So, great. So Black Adam, I'm looking forward to. So speaking of toys, because we've seen a lot of toys there, something I've collected, is the collaboration. Transformers, which are by Hasbro, has done a collaboration, everything from Mavericks, Top Gun, something very live action with the Ghostbusters, Ecto-1, as well as the DeLorean. But they've also done something animated or comic with like the X-Jet. So they just recently did a Megatron as the G.I. Joe Hiss Tank. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. But I'm more keen for the live action crossovers. Well, they did announce another crossover, I call them. They're truly collaborations. And it's with G.I. Joe again. And it's it's the Stryker. And the Stryker is a Army Jeep, the AWE Stryker, I think. And it comes with a character called Stalker. So Lonzo Wilkinson, or Stalker, an original G.I. Joe. And he comes in his original 3 3/4 G.I. Joe, a real American hero 80s look, which is great. But the collaboration transforms the Jeep into Bumblebee. So here he is here. Bumblebee, it's great. It looks exactly like the 80s Stryker vehicle. It's great that it comes with the G1 G.I. Joe, but then when it transforms, it's really an unfamiliar Bumblebee, except for his face, and you know who it is. But anyway, it's cool. Not something I'd get.
You're not getting it?
Nope. I won't. I want to get live action stuff. So I'm waiting for what would be another great crossover? What's a famous movie? I might even get Batmobile, but it would have to be a movie Batmobile.
Yeah. Man, if they did
wait, well, you have one.
Yeah, I have one, but if I'm trying to think of your question, if they did and not my favorite Batman movie, but a Batman Forever Batmobile that turns into a Transformer, because that one had all the neon lights in it. That's just me, though.
Yeah, no, so Batman, you said Forever, right? So the original. Yeah. I would probably take an original Batman 1989 Tim Burton Batmobile. Because I was there in the audience in 89. I love that Batmobile. It's sleek, round, it's curvature. It's also the kind of the ball details. So I would take that as a crossover Transformer. I would not take the new version of Batman, although I thought it was cool, very armored tank. What was Christian Bale? I wouldn't do his Batman. No.
I mean, what if they did like some Hanna-Barbera, like the Flintstones car?
Oh, shit. Okay, so that's funny. If you ever have a chance, look up Steel Hearts. It's a great comic series about the Transformers being woken up in the industrial age, and they all had to take on locomotives, Zeppelins, and it's very cool. So very familiar characters. Optimus Prime is the engine of a locomotive. It's kind of like Andrew Lloyd Webber's train.
Kind of steampunk?
Yeah, it's very steampunk because it's industrial steampunk. So all these main characters, like all of the Decepticon planes, are actually biplane, like Red Baron type of jets. Very cool. So, but you had one. It's live action and animated, but started animated. You have this. You showed me a picture of a collaboration that would be cool. Concept art here of the Turtle Van.
Yeah, I mean, hear me out. Turtles and Power Rangers just did a collaboration with Hasbro. So I know Playmates likes to license out Turtles to like NECA or other companies. But if they've already licensed out to Hasbro once for Power Rangers, well, it seems like it would be a win if they would just collaborate with the Hasbro team one more time with Transformers.
Well, there's a lot of new Transformers out there called Transformers Legacy. And for me, I don't buy a toy line. I buy anything that resembles the original figure, but in better quality. So there's a few out there. I am aiming to get Alita 1, Blitzwing. Blitzwing was a famous G1 Transformer. It was a Jeep. No, it was a tank and a plane. And I don't like my version, so it's getting an upgrade. So I'm going for that. But I do like the collaboration with G.I. Joe is cool, but I won't be getting it. I love the McFarlane Black Adam. Again, I don't collect superheroes. Isn't that weird? But I do like superheroes. So yeah, absolutely. All right. Anything you want to shill? We got 2 minutes.
Yeah, just in my last video, I finished up my sewer diorama that I have here.
That is gorgeous lit up. I think the lighting's great.
And you can't see everything, but this is now 4 levels. This is like the villain's lair, the generic sewer, the turtles lair, and then there's a building on top of here.
Nice. And who's on the building?
Most of the turtles and like the street level figures are on there, but like I really wanted to get the chunky like sewer dwelling characters in the sewer.
Yeah, got it.
They're all there. I do have
where's Casey Jones?
Casey Jones, I could show you. I could bring the camera.
May not have the time. I think okay. Oh God, I do love the building.
He's fighting some foot soldiers by himself up there.
He's just cool. I don't know why. I just like that character.
Badass. He has 2 on the floor and he's fighting 4 of them by himself.
Well, he is badass. That is true.
Where am I, Casey Jones at?
Oh my God, you are. I love that. Yeah, it might have been the fact that he wore the hockey mask, but he also had a good attitude, even in the cartoon. Don't love the actor who played him in the original. Actually, he's not bad. I've seen him in other stuff.
He just went on to do like some really good stuff.
So I don't know. I've just endlessly that's the best character to me in the Turtles franchise. But well, that's great. I hope everybody checks out your channel. Thomas Goes Nostalgic. Don't forget to check out PopCon powered by Generation X. I put a really cool cereal mascot history secret award thing. I thought it was fun. It's still out there. Go watch it. And I got part 2 coming up.
That's one of my favorites.
Thanks. I appreciate that. I'll be watching yours. Everybody, thanks for joining us. Come back next Friday for another Pop Conversation. Until next time.
Catch you next time.